Right, hit me.
Hit me with a sandboy chip. Hit me slowly. Hit me quick. Hit me.
That's the song I never thought I'd hear again.
I'm going to hit you with Tyson Witham today. I met him on my radio journey that has led me nowhere. But
It led you to Tyson?
It's led me to Tyson, but it has led me not nearly as far down the rabbit warren as he has. So I'm excited to hear his story today.
Yeah, I'm just excited to have someone in here that I know I can throw out weird nostalgic music references about the local area, and I'm going to get a thumbs up because I remember him. And one thing that is funny is he doesn't look any older than he did 10 years ago.
Yeah, he's unsettling like that. I'm keen to talk to him though. I've known him for a little while, and I think I've said to you I never quite know how to take him. I don't know if we get along or not get along because I think we're just
well, you got to find out
toe to toe. But yeah, I want to hear his story because he's an interesting dude and he's super smart, and I want people to know that.
Well, I'm excited, but now knowing that I get to see if you two actually get along, I'm even more excited.
All right, well, let's just bring him in, shall we?
Tyson Witham.
That's it.
Excellent.
With him. With him. We're going to be with him for the next hour or so. So this is, for anyone that's listening, Matty Randell.
You're not supposed to say his name?
Yeah, I'm going to say his name. He'll love it now. He
Really?
reckons he's going to be mayor of Wodonga or something like
It
that.
seems pretty easy. I mean, I'm next in line being a radio guy.
That's it. That's how you do it,
get
eh?
the job. Current Wodonga mayor.
That's
Big
your
old Kev.
goal, is it, Tyson?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about, before I knew Kev was running for Wodonga mayor, I thought, if I run, what are the obligations I need to go through to be in the running, just on the ballot paper?
Considered.
And if they just said, like had a box and it said my name and then it had what were my policies and I just said, wrote the word or meh, would people give me a vote? Like,
I think people
I think you
would...
get plenty in West Wodonga.
Hey, I'm from West Wodonga.
They like that kind of speech.
But yeah, I was curious about, what credentials do you need to run? Because there was like, how many people run for Wodonga mayor? It's like 16 or something. You had to tick off the...
To be honest, I think that you actually need to do is just nominate yourself.
Okay,
Put
well, that's
yourself
what
on the thing.
I'm doing it next year.
You're on a ballot.
I don't want to win though.
And then it might end up as people start voting, like do the donkey vote on you, and then you end up as mayor of Wodonga.
Is that what happened to
I'll
Kev?
give you a parade. No, I think Kev actually probably wanted
He
to
did
do
want it, I know. I think he might have wanted Albury more just from gathering because he was like, if I don't get Wodonga, I'll get Albury. And I was like, oh, okay.
So you could just flip-flop like that?
Oh, if you've got whatever, because, if he pays rates in Wodonga, then you're okay or something. There was a big problem with that. A lot of people had issues that he didn't live in Wodonga and he's Wodonga mayor.
Right.
Which I don't care. We're supposed to be one community, aren't we?
That's the theme that everyone's been trying to draw us all together with this year. One community.
We're split by our premiers, but,
They're doing their best to split us apart.
It's funny about that, Gladys and Dan Andrews. Like, I did a video 2 weeks before, like a social media video on our radio station platform. It was supposed to be like a funny, we're not going to lock down the border, so I'm going to do it. And then I dressed as a police officer and ran across the bridge and policed the border and tried to stop cars, but they were constantly coming, and that was a joke that I couldn't do it. It's like impossible. It's too hard.
I actually saw that video.
And then 2 weeks later, the border closed. And I went, oh, do I take that video down now? Because it was supposed to be a joke. And
just for people listening, was this the first closure?
This was the first closure, like almost a year ago, March 2020.
Is that how long ago it was?
I think it was March. The border closure was probably July, actually. COVID probably happened around March.
Yeah, mid-March, I think.
It happened in the sense that Tom Hanks got it and then it was real.
That is true. No one thought it was a thing until...
It was like, oh, yeah, whatever. And then it was Tom Hanks got it in Australia and we were all like, oh, no.
Forrest Gump picks it up and then people start believing it.
Yeah,
That's great.
Exactly. And there was constant Wilson jokes about, Wilson. And then it was like, hold on, this isn't a joke anymore. Oh, no.
My favourite band is the band Tool.
Yes, great band.
And Maynard said 6 months after getting back to the US that he feels like he probably nearly 100% definitely had COVID when he was in Auckland for their tour.
Oh.
So he been in front of, obviously, a long way away on the stage,
Yeah.
but hundreds of crew, other band members, people on planes, all this stuff. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was probably COVID.
He kind of keeps away from that stage, doesn't he? So he might have kept away from enough people that it was okay.
I think so, because he does isolate himself.
He sits right at the back.
He's right up on a platform.
For a singer, he stays away from everyone. So, yeah, he wouldn't have passed
It couldn't
on to
have
anyone.
happened to a
he's
better
fine.
singer.
Yeah, well, he is amazing. I really enjoy some of his stuff in with Deftones and stuff as well. I mean, that's new metal stuff. I tell you, that's kind of how I met Josh in a way.
This is what I'm just piecing together. You guys are muso.
Bit of new metal back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I reckon, really defined me as a person for a little while.
In a good way?
I don't know, whatever way you want to
I don't
take
think
that.
new metal defined anyone in a good way.
No. I mean, it's like metal music with rapping some of the time. Like Limp Bizkit is heavy on the more popular side of the new metal thing.
Yeah.
But, then there was the old Sodens where it went into there, and I think that's where I probably would have ran into Josh when he was doing you were doing the side room. There was a metal room, and then there was an alternative.
That was towards the end.
Towards the end, yeah. And I remember going up and asking a few requests of you, get some Alexis on Fire on.
That was very much what we would have been playing in that room, I think.
Because I remember you playing because I rocked up every week, a bit of a pisshead. That's probably why most people know me on the border, actually. And I remember asking you for these same Alexis on Fire, like a different Alexis on Fire song. You kept playing the same one every week, which was a good one, but you would play different ones. But while I was going, I was like, oh, you played this one last week. And you're like, I don't remember what I played last week.
No, well, I was probably also on the juice at the time as well.
Because I thought I was heavier on the juice and I was being annoying. And I was like, I don't think that guy likes me. So it's nice that I'm invited in here.
Yeah.
I did think of all the way back then.
So it's funny, that time, like we don't want to probably dwell too much on 15 years ago, but I do remember you were probably a top 5 performer all time for the Triple J Hottest 100 days.
Oh.
You put in a pretty solid couple of years there.
Look out. Here we go.
Andrew Lockery.
Yeah.
And a couple of other guys were basically 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. performers.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, which is probably why you don't seem to be able to remember that.
I'm trying to think how often I was there for Australia Day. Now I'm worried that you got me mixed up with someone.
No, you were definitely there.
I don't remember the day. It sounds more accurate than yeah. Well, they were good days. You could really do what you wanted in that pub, I feel like.
Compared to now, you could pretty much do anything you wanted.
You really could. I remember jumping off the bar doing wrestling moves to mates and stuff like that. There's video footage of it. I was doing the big old frog splash.
That was just standard practice for the mid-2000s.
Smashing beers like Stone Cold Steve Austin at the pokies together and culling them over my head, pouring beer over myself.
So you were there, though, in that group / that place, mostly because you're a total music lover.
Yeah, I guess music got me there because I remember metal probably wasn't really my main sort of sense. It's just rock, really. Rock was it. And then my other mates would be more into metal, and then I started following what he was doing, and then I'd go to Metal Night with him and went from there. And then learning bands like Parkway Drive and things like that, it was like, oh, this is cool. This is a cool scene.
That's probably why it didn't seem weird at all to me that you turned up in a black T-shirt.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Because in my head, and you don't seem to have aged much at all, to be honest. But
that's nice.
Yeah, you pretty much, in my head, all my memories of you.
Right.
Double parked with a black shirt.
I was double parked a bit, yeah. I think he has.
That's something you can't get away with now.
No.
I mean, it's probably been a few years since you've been able to have 3 or 4 drinks sitting right in front of you and just say, are they yours? Yeah.
Yeah, it was always like, it's easier just to get 2 and go walk around with 2 beers.
You can't actually afford to do that these days.
No, because a schooner's $12.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but,
It's showing our age now. I remember when they put spirits up from $5 to $5.50 and there was a ruckus.
Yeah.
There was a complete
ruckus. There was a few of those moments, yeah.
Oh.
Do you remember you could get, down at the old Liquid, you get a $5 jug of beer, and me and my mates would get beer with red, which was like raspberry.
That's
the snake bites.
Yeah. And then you'd hold a jug of beer and walk around Liquid just sipping out of a jug of beer, and it cost you $5.
Yeah, that was, I think that we all kind of, our group and by extension you guys, I think we cottoned onto the fact that they were serving mid-strength there when it was on the heavy tap. So we turbocharged it with the raspberry because they were $1 a beer, or you could get a jug for $5.
Yeah, right.
And the raspberry just gave you a massive sugar hit and compensated for the fact it was mid-strength.
Yeah, right. I always thought it was just a stupid thing to do, and that's why I did it.
Well, the fact that it also tasted awful. Do you remember?
It didn't taste great.
Carlton mid-strength was a complete failure.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I don't even knew about mid-strength back then.
You're
I
just
remember
like
it was like 4X was mid-strength and that was it.
It's probably mostly, it might have been, false research, but I do remember, I don't know whether you remember Liam Willoughby, the owner's son from Sodens. He used to be behind the bar a lot.
Oh, I remember Liam, yeah.
Yeah, crazy Liam. He's a nutbag. But we went there one night with basically the mission to figure out how they were serving beer for $1. I was sitting going, it has to be mid-strength. Otherwise it's crap. It's either really shit beer or it's mid-strength. So
you put it down to research and recon that you went heavily drinking.
What does research mean?
We're just going to do some
Did you
research.
stand at the bar and order beer?
pretty much for $1 each.
Great. And you asked questions and they were like, shh, don't tell anyone.
It was very cheap. There was none of this, there was a little bit of pre-drinking, but you could pretty much just do your drinking out.
Yeah, I remember going out with $20 and then coming home with $20 and I go, how did I do that? I don't know probably the pokies, but
yeah, I'd say so. You win it all back.
But it did feel like that, and getting home didn't cost you most of your night. The taxi, I don't know.
Yeah, there were a few nights where I recomped myself at 5 to 5 in the morning at the Globe.
Oh,
back in the day, you just have a little win right at the end and they're like, oh, God, I don't want to pay you out, mate.
Yeah.
We're trying to kick everyone out and I've got to write you out a payout on a handwritten slip and it's for $2.50.
The Globe had the 2 dance floors, which was great. It was like, here's the dancier sort of songs and here's just the pop music area. And you would just go, oh, I'm tired of the pop. Let's go out the back and just go with a full-on strobe light in a block room, like one square cube, and you just go and take that in your eyeballs. And it was fun.
I like the Termo. Sorry.
I turned 18 and the Termo burnt down maybe a month later.
Oh.
Maybe possibly.
Is that a sign?
Yeah, that was the second time it burnt down, I think, actually, because it burnt down twice, didn't it?
I don't know.
See, I feel like the Wodonga one got burnt down.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say the bikies burnt the Wodonga one down. That's what I've heard.
All right, they're coming for you.
Theoretically.
It's just an expose today from Mel.
And the bikies.
Which ones?
I don't know.
Call them
names.
out.
I don't know their names. I don't know their names.
Tiny. Big Steve.
The butcher.
The butcher. You know what he does? Cuts meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
he does the barbecues.
The Wodonga one went down, and then when the Termo changed hands, so it was run by
a dodgy guy.
No, a good family to start with, and it was really good. They used to have great live music there and everything.
Yeah.
And then it changed hands, and the guy who took it over in the lease had no idea.
Oh no.
About anything.
I think Diesel played there once.
Diesel played there.
Yeah.
The Whitlams, Tim Freeman, the Whitten played there. I remember.
Did they blow up the pokies?
Turning up to
Did they have them there then?
They would have.
They had pokies.
Yeah.
Blew them up with a fire.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it just burnt down. Just burnt down.
Yeah, and everyone would tell me about, it was so good there, and I was only 18 for a month, and I was like, I only went once. I really missed out, but I have a feeling it was just a bit of nostalgia of being drunk and it wasn't that great.
No, it was pretty great.
Damn it.
It was actually great.
I don't think Sodens would have had that period of the music venue.
Yeah.
Because the Termo had that aesthetic and also an actual proper, the rest of the week, an enjoyable pub to drink at.
So you know how you're saying the Globe had 2 dance floors?
Yeah.
The Termo had an outside bar, an inside area, the nightclubby bit, the pokey, it just had everything.
Were you of the age where the Star used to have massive Sundays? Or had that stopped a little bit by the time you were an adult?
I didn't do too much Sunday sessions, I feel like, but I turned 18 in 2004, so right at the end of there.
Yeah, so that would have been probably when they just started to teeter off a little bit.
But I'm also a Wodonga person, so I spent a lot of time going to the Birra for happy hour.
Oh,
and spinning that wheel when free was on there, when that was allowed and wasn't responsible service of alcohol issue. And now I think the cheapest is $1 because I went up to 50 cents and everyone was like, boo. And now it's $1. And then when the dollar comes up, it's $1 per customer.
That had the most brilliant name, didn't it? Was it the Birra beer wheel? It had that good alliteration.
I didn't even know that there was. I do.
They used to do it at the Termo and it was messy.
Yeah. It was your table full of just beers. You couldn't you squeeze any more in, and then they'd come over and go, guys, you have to drink your beers, and you're like, so you're just like, yeah.
If you like us, like I like us, get onto punchingsideways.com, give us a bit of a likesy, have a bit of an exploration around, and maybe buy us a coffee. I was all about it as well. I was the heavy drinker.
Look, I'll go drink it now if you want. Are you trying to put it out there? No, I don't have any money. I can't.
Yeah.
That's the thing now. It's a definite factor in whether I drink or not. Is that it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Mine's sociability. I want to. If there's people, someone like one person wants to go drinking, I'll go, yeah, let's go. I want to just talk. I don't care, but beer has to be involved for some reason. It's just there.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
is that because you don't have enough personality?
I think it loosens everyone else up to be on my level of looseness.
Yes.
Don't quote me on that. Actually, never mind. That came up to my head then, and I don't want that to be on my gravestone.
Sorry, mate. No editing.
I don't mind. That's fine.
So from heavy drinking days, and how did you get to where you are now? Like, I know a little bit about this, but you've just been here for like ever.
What, in Albury-Wodonga? Or you mean like?
Well, it feels like you've been on the airwaves forever.
Oh, that's been a long slogathon. Basically, it took a while to get where I am, and sometimes you forget that. But it was constantly just doing what I wanted drinking wise and enjoying that with mates and working out at. I originally worked at Arnold's. I was a checkout chick, I guess they say, you know, and out the front there for a couple of years. I don't know if that's sexist to say checkout.
Did you know Louise Arnold personally then?
I knew her a little bit. I don't think if she sees me now, she knows me because she knows my partner a bit better because that's how I met my partner working out at Arnold's.
Wow.
Making innuendo jokes with the melons and stuff, you know, it's inappropriate stuff. But I try to impress her by eating a chili.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was impressed, but it worked. I'm still with it, so that's good.
She's probably like, well, if it survives, I'm up for it.
I'll have a go.
Josh has been we've been trying to figure out some dating tips. So is that it? You just like sort of jump around and like do something that you think is going to impress them?
See, I don't know, because that was obviously 2005 and we've had Tinder and things since then.
Maybe we're going to have to eat 2 chilies.
I haven't had to, I don't know. Try 2 chilies. Yeah. If they can see you go back again, they go, actually, you know what?
That's commitment.
That is commitment. and I'm looking for commitment. No one's looking for commitment openly, are they? No, all right.
No.
But anyway, yeah, so it was Arnold's and then it was out at the Logic Centre, the DC, the Woolworths big factory out there. Did that for 4 to 5 years, I think. And I was just like getting money easy, working minimal days. It was like 3 10-hour shifts, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Then I go drinking uni night Wednesday, metal night Thursday, Friday night drinks. Saturday night was like, yeah, well, I guess we'll go out because I know Saturday night was a big one, and then the Friday night was the one where you wouldn't show it if you were going out because you're like, oh, old people go out Friday because they'd be doing the normal working week and finishing their week or whatever, and then you'd rest Sunday and then go back to work Monday, and it was like that for a bit, and then I finally was like, I don't want to do this because I was moving up in the world of the Logic Centre. I felt like because they were putting me on the desk, which I was not doing as many of the physical labour. I was doing all the controlling and the load goes into this truck and all that, and then they were like, hey, do an extra day, and I'm like getting scared, going, this isn't my career. I'm not doing this.
And this cuts into drinking days.
No, there was probably a bit of that, actually.
I can't do uni night if I'm working.
Literally, that would have been a thing.
It was a little bit of that. I know that. But I definitely was also like, I don't want all this responsibility. It feels like I'm moving into this as a permanent life choice career. And I was like, I still respect people out there and I enjoy it and it was good money. And I miss a lot of the conversations out there and stuff like that. But I was like, I felt like my brain was wasting ways, especially days where I'd sit on the forklift or something like that. And you just have a machine tell you, go to this number, put this many numbers in this thing, and then go to the next one. And I was like, I remember getting off the forklift one day and I legit screamed. Like I was like, like I just couldn't handle it. Probably hungover, I think. But I also was like, I can't do this. Like I need to get out. And
that's what you want is a relentless robot voice in your ears when you hung over.
And that was the other thing because if you were on the pick, you would have a robot in your ear say, go to aisle alpha, which was dog food. Where you'd go and you'd be like, crap, I have to go do dog food. Like that's the heaviest stuff. And,
did you ever just get confused? You're like, oh, what's alpha again?
Yeah, it was like that at the start, but then you go straight into it. It was like there's dog food, then there's liquor was really heavy lifting all day, and then the produce and the chiller was the thing, and so it was a whole. Yeah, there was a 4 or 5 years there, and then I went, I'm done with this. I'm moving to Melbourne, and I had no job background, so I was like, I guess I'm going to Melbourne to do forklifting, and I did that for a full year in Melbourne, out at the southwestern suburbs or whatever. Southeastern suburbs, and then I was like, I'm keep coming back every weekend to see my girlfriend because she was here, and I was working 10-hour shifts 5 days a week, And then I was driving back and I was doing Arvo shifts. So I'd finish at like midnight and then I'd drive to Wodonga. And then I'd be like, get there at 3 a.m, fall asleep, wake up and have the weekend there, come back. And I was just doing that. And I'm like, what am I doing? So I came back and did a TAFE course for radio. And I thought it was like, I can't remember if it was multimedia, because I did 2 TAFE courses. I did one right out of school called multimedia, and then I did one called screen and media. I can't remember which way was which.
And that was here locally?
That was here locally. So I did one in 2005 when I got out of school because I thought that's what you do. And I did it very half-assed. I passed, whatever. That's what you think you're supposed to do. And then you didn't really put any effort in, so you didn't really go anywhere. So then when I did it again, when I came back here in 2012, I was like, oh, you got to actually work and show that you can do stuff and you'll get a job out of it. So then when down at the radio station, they were like, we're looking for a creative writer, someone to write commercials. And they were like, I was the standout in the class because everyone else was me back in 2005 going, oh, whatever, I'm passing, I don't care. And I was like the guy going, I've been here before, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
And then I got the job out there writing commercials. So, and did that for 4.5 years while constantly filling in on air wherever I could and wherever they needed someone, and just put my hand up while also doing the community radio station out at 2RM where you are, Mel. And you've been out there too, haven't you, Josh?
Yeah, I've been only to that station as a guest.
Oh, okay.
Back when I was playing in bands.
Right.
I'd go in and I've guested once on Mel's program as well. That was probably 18 months ago or something.
Yeah, so I did that for a while, and that was just me mucking around with different friends trying to figure out
So that all happened post moving back? Or had you had some interaction with the community station before?
Where did the brain tweak happen? From going, I'm going to be a full-time forky in Melbourne. I'm moving up in the world.
I'm going to Melbourne and then I'll have more opportunities.
Yeah.
And then I didn't take any advantage of any opportunities. I just worked non-stop as a forky. And I went, what am I doing? And I went, I'm going back to study. And study was, I'm not going to uni for 3 years and get a debt and not a guaranteed job I was worried about. So I went, if I do a 6-month TAFE course and just go hard at it and see where I can go from there. And that got me into the radio from there. And then as soon as I got the gig out at the radio station, someone else in the TAFE class named Jackie's like, I'm going out to 2RM. Do you want to come with me? I want to try and get a show. And I was like, yeah, all right. And because I wouldn't be that outgoing to go in there and go, hey, I want a show. I need someone else to do that for me. And I'll just go, yeah, sweet, I'll be along. And then that happened. And then I did a show with him for a while, and he had enough of it after a while. And I just did it myself, and then brought in different mates every now and then, and went from there. And then then they found out at work that I was doing it out there. They had a listen. They said, yeah, we'll give you a go and do a Saturday shift on the river and all that sort of stuff. And then I would do that every now and then. And I can't imagine what I sounded like back then. I'd talk for like 2 minutes straight, I reckon, in breaks. And no one's told me. Someone might have told me, but I don't remember anyone telling me, don't talk for that long, Tyson. You don't have to. They don't want to hear you.
So were you getting to stretch your legs a bit when you went solo in community radio?
Yeah, a little bit, where I was just like, they pretty much said, do what you want in a way. Like, I don't remember them being any real direct, except one night when I played Bloodhound Gang, Fire, Water, Burn. So
the unedited version?
Yeah. And it's after 10 o'clock, my show, on Tuesday night. And I just was like, play it. I had someone call up, complain to me. And I said, well, it's after 10 o'clock. I gave you a language warning at the start. Like, I think that's the compliance. Like, no, I didn't have proper training in that, but I still was like, sorry, like whatever. And then it was like, there's a couple of 4-letter words in there. And I went, there's a lot of 4-letter words. It's like this, that. Like, I was being a bit of a smart ass. So she obviously didn't like that and reported it to the big boss out at 2RM, who listened to the show the next week. And then I played something else that wasn't great. And no, it was a conversation about apparently eating your own snot could be healthy for you. And it was just some article, these BuzzFeed articles. And we were talking about that, and he rang up and got upset about that to say, I've had a few complaints about you talking about eating something. I'm like, what? It was an article, legitimate article. And I tried to argue that, and he was like, don't do it again. I'm like, I'm paying to be out here. I don't have to be. So I kind of gave up a bit after that, I reckon. Because I was like, it's too much of an old person station, I felt.
It's very much an old person station out there.
And I sort of was like, I might leave it behind in a while. And then I started doing whatever I want. I did a super coach show. I was that into my AFL with a mate, and we went just very niche market that no one really would care about. But I had people say they listened for the music and just for the banter. But we talked
that was also there as well.
That was out there as well.
So super coach is like fantasy for AFL,
fantasy AFL, yeah.
Which now is probably huge compared to then.
It's pretty big, yeah. I mean, I felt like it was kind of big then, because this would be about 14, 15.
Okay, yeah, so the fantasy thing had definitely filtered down to Australia.
Yeah, because I mean, that's why they had the AFL version. And then now they're doing like Big Bash cricket version and all this stuff. So we did a show on that because we just wanted to. And then I finally went, why am I going here Tuesday night all the time and paying for it when I could just do this online. And then I just started doing a show with a mate, that same mate, on video in his basement with his pool table as the table, and we'd hold a footy and talk footy and do video, and I'd edit it and put it out weekly, and I did that for 12 rounds of footy, and then he moved to the Netherlands. So and I was like, I'm not doing this alone. And you weren't getting that much interaction. That's the hardest part, is doing it for no one in a way, where you're like, yeah, I'm doing it for myself, because it gave me editing practice, it gave me a lot of different things, but I'm doing that while also doing my writing ad job while trying to get in there. So it was a bit of a mix of doing a whole heap of things to try and, I don't know, put my fingers in a few pies, is what they say.
Do you think that, because I've had this conversation with you, where you become good at things that you're overlooked for the things that you're actually wanting to go for, or you don't yap enough? Because you said that you were writing creatively for a while at SCA.
Yeah.
And it was almost like they weren't aware that you actually wanted to be on air.
Because you also did just mention there, Tyson, that you wouldn't have walked into 2REM and asked for a show.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's part of it.
And that's 100%.
Further on from what Mel just said, if that's part of you.
I would go, well, didn't you know that's why I was here? But I wouldn't go like, oh, do it. But I was also like, I'm here to try and get into radio. I'm not here to write commercials.
Yeah.
Like, that job would have its ups and downs. Pay was definitely a down, but it was more to do with like, I was like, yeah, I'm out here to get on radio. Did I not tell anyone that? Whoops. Like, I thought I told the right people, but I told them in a way where I wasn't like, can you give me a job? It wasn't until I'd get drunk and go on a work drunk thing that like I'd go, hey, give me a job, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a lot of my own fault where I wouldn't get advance in my career sooner, because I'd just be like, I want someone to discover me. I don't want to go, look at me, give me the job. I want to be like in the background, someone goes, that guy's all right. Give him a job.
Like, you're actually working legitimately hard on all these things.
I guess,
but no one's getting to see it. Because as much as like we'd like to think maybe on 2REM or whatever that we've got 1 million listeners, you might have like 2 or 3. Yeah. It's not like...
I'd look at the Facebook memories and see those same 2 or 3 people commenting on stuff, and you'd be like, well, I'm just talking to friends. And you'd look back at it and in that way, not that you were trying to achieve superstardom and everyone would be like, hey, this AFL super coach related show is the best, kind of discussion about this thing that, 300,000 people maybe were playing at the time across Australia. Yeah. And you'd think maybe they would all find you, but I guess it didn't really work out that way, but you know.
Well, it's definitely not like football where they send out coaches like to recruit to different stations. They say, oh, check out that community station. We'll go and do a bit of recon in there. Yeah. It's almost like the opposite, isn't it? You've got to sort of put yourself
I always felt there's a lot of stepping on necks to get where you want in radio, where it scares me that I wouldn't want to do that, where it's like you got to go to the big boss and say, hey, I want this and I want that. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
Sorry, as someone who's not in that industry, by stepping on necks,
I mean,
do you mean knowing that you're angling for someone else's job? There's no, even if the industry grows from a revenue point of view to a certain degree, the number of jobs would not grow commensurately with that. In terms of,
I don't know.
Someone would have to lose a job for you to take a job.
Yeah, I think so. That's pretty much, because you'd have local radio announcers. If you wanted to do the job here in Albury and you didn't want to go anywhere else, then you definitely have to wait for the next person to go away. They're not going to open up a new job. But over the years, they've definitely gone, hey, you know what, we'll do a Workday announcer on this station, or we'll do one on this station. And there was doors opening and whatever, but usually it was like someone has to leave before you get that job, sort of thing. So you feel like you're next in line sometimes. And then there was a lot of someone else just swoops in out of nowhere and they've just been doing a gig down South Australia and they've had all this practice, and then they'd swoop in and you'd go, I didn't even know about that person. I thought I was next. And you'd have this sense of entitlement, and then you would have to look back on it now and you go, you shouldn't have had that. Like, you should have known you needed to be working even harder, and you needed to be talking to these people and saying, hey, can I be next in line? But I was really more like, I'm here, I'm in their face, aren't I? Enough? To the side, waving. Hello. Yeah, like, you know, I'm here, right? But yeah, so there was a bit of that for a while.
So that was part 1 of our conversation with Tyson Witham. Part 2 will be out later in the week. You can go to punchingsideways.com to listen to the show, share the show, and to buy us a coffee if you think that we've provided any value whatsoever. We'd really appreciate that. But even just sharing the show with a friend, like some of the guys have been doing up in Wagga recently, and that just means the world to us. So Tyson Part 2, later in the week. Mel and I are both super excited to share that half of the interview because over time we all got a little bit more relaxed, and as you would have heard in there, Mel and Tyson actually did like each other. So punchingsideways.com, thanks for listening. You guys are great. From me and Mel, laters.
This episode was edited by Dead Set Podcasting. If you want your podcast to sound this good, check out deadsetpodcasting.com/services. Get the sound you're chasing.